I have read all of them, and I can't read AR11. Alright, so let's talk about having fun, and I'm going to start it off by talking about the problems that I had as a player. So, when I first got into Osu, and I first started looking at the competitive players, which at the time was Cookiezi, Ruruchi, and like Wubwolf, and also HVic, although HVic was under the name Snow White at the time. Those were like the four best players, and Cookiezi obviously was like the god of Osu. He was better than everybody else, but it was still really impressive to watch the other really good players. And I wanted to be just like those guys. I wanted to be crazy good at this game. I wanted to play so fast that most people couldn't even see what I'm doing, you know? I wanted to be that kind of player. And so that's just a part of who I am because I'm really competitive. When I do something, I want to be the best at it. So I started working at it. And I ended up quitting for a while because League was more important to me for a couple of years. But I eventually ended up quitting League because I have the same problems that I ended up having in Osu when I tried to get good at Osu, which was having fun with the game and not being toxic towards myself. And I'll explain what I mean by that in a little bit when I talk about it more in depth. But once I did come back to Osu and I started trying really, 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 really hard to be the best player that I could, I ran into a lot of issues. What ended up happening was I started playing legit um, minimum of 8 hours a day. Most days I'd say I'd probably average 10 to 11 hours. There were a few days where I played 14 to 16 hours. It was not uncommon for me to hit like past 12 hours of playtime in a single day. And that was horrible, horrible practice. It was bad practice, and I'll explain to you guys why. First off, there were the obvious problems with how can you be constructive if your brain is constantly focused for 16 hours a day on just mindless playing over and over and over and over and over again. You cannot be constructive when you're doing that. You cannot be analytical. You don't have the focus. And so I ended up hitting a wall. And it actually happened multiple times where I just hit this wall and I couldn't go any further. And it took me like seriously maybe 2 to 3 months to break the wall down every time I hit it because I didn't have good practice. Um, and the reason this was a problem for me was because I was so dedicated to being better. I wanted to be the best player in the world so badly, so intensely that I would play the game for sometimes 16 hours a day, and I would legitimately get play counts in the thousands in a single day. Um, that when I hit this wall, I just I just destroyed myself. I crushed myself because it was the most soul crushing thing to want this skill so badly and to be trying so hard at it, to be putting so much effort into trying to achieve this level of play and to literally just get nowhere every single day for like 3 months straight. And then I'd break the wall and it felt really good for like a couple weeks. And then after 2 weeks, I'd run into another wall for another 3 months. And I started getting really toxic towards myself because I was just like, why can't I be better? Why can't I beat this? Why can't I do more than what I'm doing? And that's when I sort of realized that one, I had no life, and two, I had to take a step back and look at what I was doing and realize what I was doing wrong, because obviously something wasn't happening. I mean, I really, like, I hated myself for a while. I'd get frustrated, I'd get really emotional, um, I'd get upset a lot. I mean, it was just, it was pretty toxic towards myself. It wasn't, um, what's the word that I'm looking for? It wasn't constructive, it wasn't helpful, it didn't do anything for me. Uh, so I took a step back and I actually started up a blog, and the blog was kind of the same idea behind why I do the stream now. It was to have a medium where I could talk about my thoughts and where these thoughts could actually, this conscious flow of speaking, or in that case it was writing, but the conscious flow of forcing myself to be thinking about things instead of just mindlessly doing them would make me change the way that I looked at it. And it did help. It helped out a lot because I started to realize that one of the problems that I had was I just wasn't having fun. Um, and why is that an issue? Why is not having fun a problem? It's because, let's think about it for a second. If you're sitting there and let's say even 6 hours a day you're playing Osu and you're not having fun with it. So you're playing Osu for 6 hours a day, nearly every day, and you're not having fun. How are you supposed to keep that up? How does your brain mentally handle doing that and improving at it when you don't even enjoy it? And the short answer is it doesn't. It's not possible. Your brain can't handle um, that kind of play and that kind of lack of passion. Eventually, you'll stop having the passion if that's why you play. For me, it was because I was very passionate about being the best player. I wanted to be the best player, and it was kind of like this circle of self-destruction in a sense where because I wanted to be the best player, I couldn't be the best player, and it felt really hard and it felt bad to break that circle. But after a while I did. I started to realize that a lot of the problem was just I wasn't having fun when I was playing. I was not enjoying myself when I played the game. And again, the reason why that's a problem is because if you're not having fun, how can you stay passionate about it? How can you stay attentive? How can you stay focused? You can't. You have to enjoy what you're doing. So I think a large part of improving as a player in Osu is actually just taking a step back and enjoying yourself, you know? Especially if you're super competitive like I am, because I'm super competitive. So after it took me like about a month to get out of the habit of like self-destructive tendencies and ramming my head against this unbreakable wall like over and over again for 3 months. But relatively speaking, I did fix it pretty quickly, and once I did, I was enjoying myself a lot more. I got emotional a lot less, and I improved a lot faster because I was actually focused and I was able to look at things constructively. And I think that's a huge part of improving as a player, obviously. So, how do you have fun? That's one of the problems that I had while trying to do this was actually just having fun. And that was like what the whole month was about for me, was figuring out how to have fun. And for me, it was doing stuff like, you know what? First off, let's cut down on the amount of time we're playing the game. Because I played like a lot of Osu. So I cut it back. I cut it back from maybe 10 hours average to my goal was to only play for 6 hours a day. And that helped a lot. One, because my brain wasn't getting overloaded and it was easier to practice more efficiently. And two, because then I could schedule myself and start dedicating time towards doing stuff that I thought was fun. So that was the first step, was cutting back on time, because if I'm playing for so long every day, it just gets mindless, it gets numbing, and you're doing it so much that you literally can't have fun. Like, it's not possible to have fun if you're playing like 10 to 12 hours a day, and I was. So I cut the time that I was playing back, which felt really bad, but it ended up being a really good decision in the long run. It ended up helping out a ton. But at the time, it felt horrible, because I was like, man, I'm not practicing. I should be practicing. But after that, I started literally just setting aside time each day to not practice, and instead of practice, just do whatever. Like, it didn't matter what it was. A lot of the times it'd be stuff like, I'd like DT fucking Airman and play that for fun. Or I'd like relax DT, the Big Black. Like, just stupid, crazy, absurd stuff that I had literally no hope of ever doing in my entire life. And it was fun, though. Like, it's fun to do that kind of stuff. And that helped out a lot, So stuff like that's really, really important. Just not being pressured to always be doing something that's meaningful. It is a huge part, I think, which is kind of weird. Like, it doesn't make sense in a way. In a way, it makes sense. In a way, it doesn't make sense. Because if you're not doing stuff that's meaningful, then what kind of value does it bring to you? And as it turns out, it's a very mental value. It's more so mental than it is physical. Um, so I started doing stuff like that. I started playing a bunch of different mods. I almost exclusively played DT and no mod when I was doing like the 12 hours a day. So I started playing a lot of Hidden, I started playing a lot of Hard Rock and a lot of HDHR, and that was pretty fun. I do stuff like I'd go back, like at the time I think I was about the 4 to 5 star level, like mid 5 star level, maybe like 5.3 stars was like the maximum star number that I could full combo. And I'd go back and I'd do like 3-star songs with Hidden Hard Rock, and I'd try to set top 50 scores. That was like super fun. I still do that sometimes. I actually like go into random 4 or 5-star songs with HDHR, and I try to get top 50 plays just because it's fun. I mean, I enjoy it. Being in the top 50, you know, it feels good. It feels nice, and that's another important thing about having fun is you want to reward yourself for stuff. You want to be able to think, man, I did a really really good job on that. So that's another thing that you could do to have fun. Some other stuff is just change it up. Don't do the same thing over and over again. Like one of the things that I've been doing with a buddy of mine every day since I started streaming Osu was, well, not every day because I've been streaming Osu for a long time, but since I started really, really being dedicated towards it, is I have a friend of mine, and we'll go and we'll play, like, it's only happened like 3 or 4 times, but like we'll play Battle Right after I play Osu for like 6 hours or whatever. I take like a 2-hour break and then I go play Battle Right because it's a ton of fun. And you know, it's not like the main thing that I'm focused on, but it's something different and it's something that's enjoyable and it helps me keep a healthy mindset. So changing it up, doing different things, cutting time back, playing different mods, and doing stuff that challenges you. I think that's all a bunch of stuff that will really help you have fun as a player and will help you improve as a player overall because it helps keep your mindset healthy, it helps keep you mentally healthy, and it helps keep your brain refreshed because good practice is better than lots and lots of bad practice. Like, I would take an hour of good practice over 6 hours of bad practice any day of the week. It's infinitely more important. And it's one of the reasons why I'll say stuff like I feel like I'm not very talented at Osu, is because for a long time I sat there and I practiced horribly for 13 hours a day for like 5 months straight. And I didn't really get anywhere, and I have such an absurd amount of time put into the game comparatively to people who are around my level because my practice was bad, and I didn't understand what I was doing wrong in terms of my mindset. And so that's why I kind of do content like this, is because I want to help people be able to not make the same mistakes that I made, because it was a very frustrating thing for me. And I want to put the kind of content out there that will help people not make those mistakes. So that's just most of that